day, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to convince you that mathematics was discovered and not invented. But first, let me define the topic. There are three keywords in the topic: mathematics, discovered, invented. According to an online dictionary, mathematics is an abstract science of number, quantity, and space. Mathematics may be studied in its own right or as it is applied to other disciplines. Discovered means founded and invented means constructed. Therefore, mathematics was founded, not constructed. As I'm going to convince you that mathematics was discovered, our second speaker, Shalon, will continue our argument by focusing on the amount of information that can be found on the internet that supports our side. Our third speaker, Balanay, will summarize our team's argument that mathematics was discovered and not invented. In 1960, Eugene Wigner coined the phrase, the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics, pushing strongly for the idea that mathematics is real and discovered by people. For instance, British mathematician Gottfried Hardy stumbled upon his famous sequence while looking at the growth of an idealized rabbit population. Mankind later found the sequence everywhere in nature, from sunflower seeds and flower petal arrangements to the structure of a pineapple, even the branching of bronchi in the lungs. Therefore, everything has been founded, and so mathematics was discovered.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This house strongly believes that mathematics was not discovered. As the first speaker of the opposition side, I will introduce you out of these arguments that mathematical expressions are a product of the human brain, tailored for the mind. Thus, mathematics is a man-made and not discovered. It was invented. Before I start my case, let me introduce you Ms. Baen as the second speaker of the opposition side who will continue the supporting arguments, and Ms. Kianco as a third speaker who will summarize out the opposition and leave you no doubt that mathematics was indeed invented and not discovered. Mathematics is at the center of our modern world, whether we'd like to admit or not. Behind our smartphones, our cars, our computers, math is quietly working to calculate the world. And yes, it was created by the power of human brain. Beginning in the 6th century BC, with the Pythagoreans, the ancient Greeks began a systematic study of mathematics as a subject in its own right with Greek mathematics. Around 300 BC, Euclid introduced the axiomatic methods still used in mathematics today, consisting of definition, axiom, theorem, and proof. While others may or may not exist physically, mathematical statements definitively. Their truth values are based on rules that humans created. Mathematics is thus an invented logic exercise with no existence outside mankind's conscious thought, a language of abstract relationships based on patterns discerned by brains, built to use those patterns to invent useful but artificial order from things. With that, mathematics was invented. Temporarily rest on this
You mentioned that mathematics is an invented logic exercise with no existence. Well, these are some evidences that do not support your claims. Mathematics was not invented, it was discovered. Let's take a look at Newton. When he saw an apple tree, he had an epiphany. That epiphany is the concept of gravity. Even though no one before Newton had ever thought of gravity, it had always made apples drop from trees. Newton discovered and put a name to the concept of an object being pulled towards the earth. He did not invent gravity, just as gravity wasn't invented. Math wasn't invented, it was discovered. Math describes nature and the events in nature. For example, rabbits reproduce exponentially. Energy is equal to mass multiplied by the speed of light squared. Density equals mass divided by volume, and etc. Another evidence, in 1960, Nobel Physics laureate Eugene Wigner coined the phrase the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics, pushing strongly for the idea that mathematics is real and discovered by people. Wigner pointed out that many purely mathematical theories develop in a vacuum, often with no views toward describing any physical phenomena, have proven decades or even centuries later to be the framework necessary to explain how the universe has been working all along. Here's an even bigger jump. Mathematical knot theory first developed around 1771 to describe the geometry of position, as used in the late 20th century to explain how DNA unravels itself during the replication process. It may even provide key explanation for string theory. Some of the most influential mathematicians and scientists of all human history have chimed in on the issue as well, often in surprising ways. Thus, mathematics was discovered, not invented.
From the first statements of Rosita's paper, yes, gravity was discovered, but we're talking about mathematics, not gravity itself. Gravity is just a part of math, yet the mathematics is invented and it is the product of human thought from their observation, and that's how mathematics exists because of their invention. Then, he said that mathematical knot theory was developed, and yes, mathematics has theories. According to the American Museum of Natural History, theory is a well-substantiated explanation of an aspect of the natural world that can incorporate hypotheses and laws, where in fact, mathematical concepts are testable incorporated with laws, rules, and scientific knowledge rendered by the human brain. During a mathematician David Hilbert's lifetime, there was a push to establish mathematics as a logical construct. Hilbert attempted to axiommatize all of mathematics, as Euclid had done with geometry. He and others who attempted this saw mathematics as a deeply philosophical game, but a game nonetheless. Henry Poincaré, one of the fathers of non-Euclidean geometry, believed that the existence of non-Euclidean geometry dealings with the non-flat surface of hyperbolic and elliptical curvatures proved that Euclidean geometry, the long-standing geometry of that surface, was not a universal truth, but rather one outcome of using one particular set of game rules.
As an opposition to the previous statement, well, yes, gravity is not whole mathematics itself as well as the other concepts, but these are what comprises mathematics, making its entirety possible. Mathematics will not be mathematics without these aspects, and considering that the aspects comprising it are discovered, justifies the fact that mathematics is indeed discovered. As what you have stated, mathematics is a product of human thought and observation. Giving emphasis on the term observation, if mathematics didn't exist in the first place, then what is supposed to be observed? Would you conduct an observation for something that do not exist? And yes, laws, rules, and scientific knowledge in which mathematical concepts are incorporated were rendered by the human brain. But in order to do so, there must be a basis. You cannot make a theory nor any mathematical law without depending on something existent. As being supported by the evidences given, it can be proven that mathematics originally exists in the first place. Every concept related to it is existent by nature, and it so happened that mathematicians discovered its existence and provide the explanation on the presence of these concepts. So therefore, mathematics is discovered rather than invented.
Mathematics was an invented language used to describe things in the universe. you could invent an entirely separate but equally valid form of mathematics to describe the same things. But the things that being described aren't included under the term mathematics, only the language used to describe them is. The symbols and systems we use to measure, model, or manipulate reality, like mathematical values, patterns, languages, data, lights, and signs, etc., are made up of technologies and inventions of the human mind. And the mind's intelligence gets trapped in these ingenious solutions, but the quality there to figure out and register is as reality as anything that exists. A relationship between mind and reality only made possible by an inexorable and unlimited universe. The laws and physical properties of our universe are discovered, but the language we use to describe them and the method by which we discover them is math, our own invention.